Dieting is a literal battle. It is you and the lean physique and the physique you've always wanted against hunger and cravings. And I'll tell you one thing for sure. There is a winner and there are many, many losers. Just like in a war, just like in a battle. It sounds super extreme, but you are literally fighting against hunger and cravings. Like, that is the dieting battle. And I will show you in this video exactly how you win it. But before I get into that, I want to get into a story. Like, this is me being completely raw, uncut, honest, like going over my situation, so you can see if you actually resonate and like me as a person and think that I'm actually like telling the truth here, or I'm just chanting a load of crap like the other people you see online. So here's the thing. I started off super skinny, like super skinny, 56 kilos, 5'9". I couldn't even wear skins as people laughed at me. I was in the school changing rooms and there were guys laughing at 56 kilos, Rorke Gains. And that was the reality. Like, it was genuinely like kind of annoying. It kind of traumatized me a bit. And I actually could barely wear skins. Even when I actually put on muscle, I couldn't even wear skins. So I started working out. My dad inspired me to train. I took it into my own hands. I wanted to be the guy with the best physique at pool parties. Like, I know everyone says that, but I actually wanted to. And I worked hard even in like Christmas time and like November time, so I could be the guy in the summer who looked awesome. And I saw results. Like, you know, seeing results taught me that hard work and discipline, like, it literally gets you the results that you want. And I translated this hard work into my athletics, right? I was never the fastest, like never the fastest, but I channeled all that focus into hurdles in this case. Okay, like I ran hurdles and like there were probably like 5 other dudes faster than me in my like school year when I was like this young. But I just knew if I like put all this mental discipline into hard work, bang, and you see results. It's like that mindset, okay? And like progressing forward, so we move forward in my life, here's me playing the Xbox, okay? Like, I made a rule here that after I'd game, okay, I'd have to earn it by working out afterwards. And then like I once skipped a workout in this like period of my life to play Xbox and like play FIFA, right? But halfway through this online game, it was actually in Rocket League. I was playing a Rocket League game and I skipped a workout. And I was like, damn, I actually cheated on myself. I actually let myself down. I turned the Xbox off. I could have finished the game, but I was like, screw it. Turned the Xbox off, went down, hit the workout, and then carried on playing Xbox after, but at least I'd earned it. That was when I knew I was like, the identity was there. Like, I was seriously identifying as a guy who was in shape. And that was when I kind of understood that, like, going out of your comfort zone, and that sort of like uncomfortable mindset was like really going to benefit me. But there was still an incongruency, right? I was so awkward. Like, yeah, the guy who tells you to eat 10 eggs and screams at the screen was awkward. Like, I was so awkward. Like, you know, this sort of mindset, obviously if my computer doesn't die out on me right now, this mindset didn't really transfer socially, right? Like, I had friends, shock, surprise, I know. But in terms of like meeting new people outside of my school, in terms of like girls, like never had a girlfriend, never kissed a girl, like, it's kind of embarrassing to say, but yeah, like until I was 17, like 1 month before I got my first kiss, like I was, yeah, it was like I had the mindset in gym and like other stuff, but it was like socially, like I was too scared to go out of my comfort zone. That was until, this is, I'll say it on YouTube, I don't really say this on Instagram because I don't know how my sister or parents will feel about this, but yeah, like my sister was obviously having a tough time at her school, and then they moved her, and I didn't want to, like, obviously when she's moving school, you know, like my parents don't want to move her to like a worse school, because then it's like, you know, it's kind of like a thing where if you're having a tough time at one school, you don't really want to like downgrade, right? So they moved her to a better school, like more expensive, and it was like a lot of money paid on private school, because I was at private school at that point, and my younger sister was, and my younger brother was. Like 3 kids in private school was like super expensive. My parents sacrificed everything. So when she moved to the more expensive school, it made sense for me to move to like a more like state school, college. Still awesome school, right? But like I was like the sacrifice there, and I went, but like not quite, because I volunteered. I was like, I'll do it. And I moved there knowing no one. It's a sixth form college, and it's, you know, no accommodation, networking events. So I had to meet people through cold approach. The awkward guy had to go completely out of his comfort zone. Completely out of his comfort zone to meet new people, like through cold approach. Like I just go up to people in a dining hall and like approach them to like make friends. Like that was the situation. And it ended up being the best decision of my entire life. Like when I tell you, it completely changed. It basically taught me that as soon as you take a step outside of your comfort zone, where there's risk, no guarantees, but you have a reason why, and there is like potentially good parts on the opposite end, it always comes worth it, because you know who is the guarantee? You become your own guarantee. And here's the thing. I went to that college and I made the effort. I put in the work. You know, I doubled down on gym, met awesome people. I literally chose to do further maths at A-level, and it's easy to pick it initially, right? But like, you have the option to quit it like throughout the year, because they almost recommend you quit it unless you're not getting A's in the other A-levels, because it's like you do 3 and then the further maths is a 4th one. So you're doing 4 different A-levels when most people do 3. So like, they almost recommend it, as I said, they want you to quit because then you can do better in your other stuff. And I remember when I was getting like B's and like maybe like 1A, and they're like, you know what, Rorke, are you sure like this is for you? And I was like, you know what, it is. And then I ended up getting like, in my predicteds, I got A stars. In the actual A level, it was like 3 A's and a B. So I ended up sticking with further maths because it was uncomfortable, even when I got recommended to like take a step back, and ended up getting A's. And then I like carried this uncomfortable mindset into like filming TikToks. I make like nervous game videos. It's on my like personal TikTok account. It still might be up there now. And I was like, I just got up to girls and dropped like a funny pickup line purely because I found it uncomfortable. Like, that was literally why I did it, because I found it uncomfortable. Fast forward to uni. Well, I went to Exeter, got in there, first choice uni. I partied, like, sent it. I think like, you know, everyone sent it in their first like few months in university. And this video, like, some context, right? I snorkeled a lot of wines in my time, right? Because I was just like, all or nothing. That was just how I was, and it translated into my drinking, which like didn't serve me well in the booze, but it served me well in like other areas. And this was my first time using a wine snorkel, but it was in front of 30, 40 people. Because there was like this wine society, it's like a society at the uni, and they gave you like a free membership if you snorkeled a whole bottle of wine. Obviously they asked, and then people were like, you know, the people weren't really volunteering. I'd never done it before, so guess what I did? Yep, let's do it. Never done it. Snorkeled one whole bottle of wine at like 3 p.m. on a Tuesday. My parents probably thought I was like working super hard in uni. There's me snorkeling a whole bottle of wine. I lost a lot of progress. So that's when I made the excuse to myself. I was like, I have to gain the muscle back. I ate everything in sight, completely bulked up. I ate 2 of these like uni meals because I was in the catered accommodation, and I had the air fryer, and I used to buy food as if I was eating. I ate as if I was bulking, okay, without the catered accommodation. And then literally right after that, I had the actual like meal here. So I ate 6,000 calories daily like a pig for 3 months. I gained 14 kilos in 3 months. When I got home, my family were like, damn, you've gained weight. My mum was like, damn, you are basically fat. Like, that's what they said to me. And like, my mum's super honest, like straight to the point. So I went on an aggressive cut, and I ended up looking soft and watery and weak. So I just slashed calories, inconsistent, didn't work. So I had the right structure in place where I fueled my body properly. Like, I actually trained in the gym like properly and got stronger. I got treated completely differently. Like, completely differently. When I was lean and tanned, like, as soon as I got to that physique, I was like, not going back. Not going back. Like, simple as that. This is who I am now. I'm staying ripped, staying tan, staying lean. Like, yeah, it was like, when I used to have girls approach me, I'm just saying, like, the confidence I got, it was insane. So I kept on posting TikToks, they got views. And I remember, like, when I was in uni, right, I had some brands like reach out, and then one of them caught my eye, and they were like, we want you to film interviews for us. And I remember that we got on a Zoom call to speak about it, and I was like, screw it, I'll just hop on the Zoom call. They said, we want you to do interviews, like go up to girls in the uni and just film some interviews, right? We can send you the microphone. I was like, this is way too uncomfortable for me in my mind. I could not envision myself doing it. So guess what happened? I knew it was uncomfortable, I knew it was outside of my comfort zone. I said yes to do it. And I signed the contract directly after the call to work with them for the first like few months in the year. So I then hired my housemate, and we got to work right away. Like, I actually bricked it before my first interview. So I remember we were walking to the club. So like, we're going to do it in the club, like in the smokers area, and just film some content there and all around. And I was like nervous. Guess what I did with those nerves? That uncertainty. We filmed 25 interviews that night because after the first one, after I took that first step, when there was that uncertainty, it's like, boom, it just came in. And then obviously like ended up interviewing Ketama, millions of views. Like this wasn't like my end route, but it was like, what's interesting is this is all mindset. This is all me going outside of my comfort zone when there's no guarantees. And then you get the fruits of your results, the fruits of your labor, like you get the results because you took that risk. And you're going to see how this works with diet, how this works with your transformation, and how this is the reason why I'm in shape, because I saw these uncertain moments in my life and I grabbed them with both hands and I did them because I didn't let fear dictate my life. That's the difference. When I knew there was risk, I went for it. Because instead of looking for all the risks and all the negatives, I looked for all the rewards. When a lot of people looked for all the risks, and that's why they don't stick to a diet. That's why you're not consistent. That's why you make these excuses, because you can know what to eat, as what I'm going to show you in this video, but you may not stick to it because you let all these moments in your life define you. And that's what I didn't do, right? So, yeah, I mean, I got ripped, traction online. I thought I was bulletproof. This is where you get humble, you know. God obviously humbled me. I had that all or nothing mindset. Served me well in the interview, served me well in my further maths, served me well in my physique. It served me well in this business, which we'll get into, served me well for my clients when I spent all my time on them. But it didn't serve me well with alcohol, obviously. I had like 4 bottles of wine in 2 hours because I was like, I'm going to be that guy. I'm that guy. 4 bottles in 2 hours. Blacked out, obviously. And then just like, I just got banned from all the venues for filming. Like, they used to get angry when I'd film in certain places, and I was like, I'm the G. I'm going to film there regardless. I don't care. Humbled, booted out from all those venues. And then the cherry on top, I had surgery on my knuckle, got infected, and couldn't train for 2 months because, yeah, like, couldn't train for 2 months. I lost everything that I worked for. That ended up being a blessing. Obviously, you can see the creatine. The habits just stay there. You need, like, we'll get into it, but it's the habits and identity. I'm still taking creatine in hospital. Like, so, some of the daily inputs just go day by day, right? There's like protein bars are like obviously kind of terrible, but when you're like in hospital, it's like you have to, beggars can't be choosers. Ends up being, you know, blessing. Lifestyle and diet and structure was all perfect. Like the way I ate and I recovered and I slept, it was all completely dialed, except for obviously I couldn't train. Still did the cardio, still did everything else. Cast was off within a few weeks. I was back working out with like cuffs and just like cardio and legs and like that sort of thing. Best shape in my life 4 months after that injury. 4 months after the injury was in the best shape of my life to date because I didn't make the excuse. I was thinking, how am I going to overcome it? Now we have when I'm ripped, and it's like maintaining it because I didn't want to lose that shape again. So I created a sustainable way of living to stay jacked out the entire year. Even when I served fish and chips for 8 hours straight. Okay, I meal prep lunch at work. People judge. Like, people are going to judge you, which is what I'm going to get into. And you're going to have that iron mind where you move on from it, right? And, like, it's just as simple as that. Like, I used to travel 1.5 hours to the best gym. I understand it's actually about your lifestyle. It's about your structure, okay? Like, you can still lift weights and look good. But, like, that was sort of how, like, driven and, like, I was like, I have to be training at the best gym possible to do that, right? I cleaned up tennis courts in my uni. I worked, social studies, started posting. I made it all work. I made it all work because it was a priority. Because when you prioritize your time, you make the time for it and you make it work even when your schedule is absolutely insane. Like social life, work, friends, uni degree, like running this business, still was in the best shape of my entire life throughout the entire year because when it's a priority, you make it work. When I was posting, okay, there was like this limiting belief I had where I saw guys in worse shape than me give worse information and be more successful as coaches. And that used to anger me. Like I used to get like, obviously it still like angers me now, but it's more like a positive way where it's like, fire under my arse for me to get going. But I used to be genuinely like envious, right? And I realised that they deserve exactly where they are, and I deserve exactly where I am. Because I needed to put in the work, I needed to get the guidance, and I needed to drop my ego and actually understand that people deserve where they are in life, and that you can't make excuses. Like, everyone has these, like, issues going on, and these problems, and all these things coming up, and Because I was like, oh, I'm doing maths at uni and I'm working, and no, all these guys have it easier, but that's not the case, right? It's like as soon as you overcome all these bottlenecks and the injury, and it's like you overcome all these things, that's when you're unstoppable, right? So my way of doing it was I actually invested in guidance into myself. And what's funny is I discussed with, some mentors and some coaches, and when it came down to making the uncomfortable decision of investing, I had the thoughts. I was like, it may not work, it's like money, it's all of these different aspects. And guess what I did? When all that uncertainty was right in front of me, I didn't let fear dictate my life. So I actually became the guarantee myself, okay? I understood that if I had the right guidance, it's all down to my hard work. I have to work my absolute arse off and I'm going to get results because I have the right guidance. So I invested my life savings, 21st birthday money, student loan. I went into debt to get the guidance that I needed. There were no guarantees. But I knew, as I said, that I was the guarantee if I put in the work. So I got my head to work. I went sober for 7 months. Okay, dozens of transformations I made from my clients. I created a community of like-minded killers all looking to level up. Like, there are some serious guys I work with, and it was all because I didn't let fear dictate my life, and I actually made that step. And it was like uncertain, and I still did it. And the moment I stopped actually just being jealous of people where I wanted to be, and actually using that as motivation, and using that to as I said, put a fire on me to get me going, that was when it all completely changed. And then guess what? I've still got that addiction to being uncomfortable. So I moved to Bali, reinforcing that addiction for uncomfort. I'd never been. I knew no one. I knew nothing about Bali at all, apart from this place called Canggu, which is apparently the main city. I had no idea what it would look like, no idea about anything. So I booked a flight, and I booked a return flight specifically for 8 weeks later, so I had to stay there for 2 months. I know it sounds crazy, but I knew with full conviction I'd be able to make it work. And this isn't like I went on some war thing to Afghanistan, obviously not. But what I am saying, it was a completely new environment, and I had to learn how to actually keep growing my online coaching business even in Bali and even in this new environment. And I hadn't seen my family for 7 months. There are people who haven't seen their family for 7 years. Way harder situation than me. But yeah, I moved out there. I learned a lot about myself, and I had some great experiences. So it turned out to be an awesome decision. Now I'm back in the UK. This is probably the most ADHD journey you've ever seen, but let's get into all of it now. Let's get this up and running. And in this game of dieting, okay, we have some rules. 99% whole foods, no snacking, no cheat meals alone, flexibility on special occasions with others, right? What I mean by this is foods from the ground or foods from animals which have ate foods from the ground. Okay, that's whole foods. Whole foods isn't enough to actually get you shredded. I'll be the first guy to say it. I know guys who eat healthy and move more and they are not remotely shredded. It's about the structure, it's about the calories, it's about your meal timings, it's about when you eat them, and it's about, cycling carbs effectively around your workouts, obviously. But as a baseline, whole foods are the way to go. No snacking. Snacks are for pets or kids, okay? Or females. So if you identify as one of those three, then eat snacks as many as you want. If you are a man who wants to get shredded, no snacks for you, buddy. Sorry to be the guy to say it. That's how it is. No cheat meals when it's just you. Why would you have that instant gratification? I know it sounds obvious. Cheat meals and meals out are for special occasions, because the whole point in looking good and feeling confident is so you can enjoy foods with family, with friends, at special events. That's how it works. And the enemies, we have internal enemies, which are hunger, cravings, and scarcity mindset around food. Scarcity mindset around food is when you're viewing food as a finite resource and you're looking forward for dinner before you've had lunch. That's a scarcity mindset, because you're kind of acting like it's going to run out, subconsciously that's what you think. And then we have the external, which is environment, which is your house, where you are, your work, and then your family and friends, their opinions as well. That's the external, and both of them need to be in check. There's a reason why I take you through this before we actually get into the eating, because I promise you, you can know the best diet ever. If you haven't got the internal and external enemies on point, you will never get a good relationship with food, and you will never be lean forever, because that's the most important part, right? So this is what I've had unlocked. Environment, okay? You are your environment. This can make or break your dieting journey. What I've learned is cravings are visual cues, Okay, visual triggers. So if you see junk food or you see food which you know you can binge on, it literally like fires the urge to eat even before you've made any real decision. Like it lights up the dopamine in your head. So how to actually get over this is you actively control like what you can actually see and what's easy to read. So you move it out of sight. Like all the unhealthy snacks, I've chucked them in the bin. Why is it in your house? Like why? Like you should realistically only be buying foods which you're going to eat. But if you are living with family or you have kids or everyone's got different situations, right? Then you move it out of sight, okay? High shelf, another room, sealed away. You don't take it, like, you don't take it. If there is just constantly bad food around you, I understand how it feels. I was in a uni house. I lived in Bali. That Bali had junk food everywhere. Uni house had junk food everywhere. When I worked, my colleagues would bring in junk food. When I served fish and chips, they literally offered to serve you junk food because there were burger stores next to me. That's where the mindset comes in. But what you can control in your environment, control. Okay? So for bad food, obviously, yeah, the harder it is to get to, the less you'll eat it. That's how it works. And remove the friction for good food, okay? So healthy options in your house should be very easily accessible. Don't hide the healthy food or make it hard to access or cook. Like you want to have the healthy food right there in your fridge, ready to go. Like the portions there, like you want to just no friction. You just go and you eat it, and it's like you're on track, right? By yourself, only buy you're planning to eat that week. There's no safety there, no decision fatigue. Simple, right? When you're living with family, kids, or parents, I know you can't control the whole kitchen, but you can control your own space. Like I know kids might want their snacks and stuff, but you can keep that stuff out of sight. You know, you keep your own stuff in your own spot, and then that's kind of how it goes. Diets fail socially before they fail nutritionally. Okay, what I mean by this is you're gonna have to say no to people. Like realistically, you are gonna have to say no. Like if it's a night out or takeaway or like just one bite of cake won't hurt. Like let's be honest, like one bite won't do anything, but it's a dice roll. Okay, you don't need to be the guy who's like frigid and always says no. But if you are serious about what you're doing, there are going to have to be times in your life where you say no. There might be a time where people want to order in and you're like, you know what, no, I'm actually going to stick to like my chicken and sweet potatoes, which probably tastes better and it is better for you. Anyway, you're going to have to get used to that because you have your standards, and when you have your standards in place, that's when you're actually going to win, because you don't, you know, go to your goals. You don't like fall to your goals or rise to your goals. You actually fall to your standards. So that's why you have to raise your standards high and high and high in order to actually make a visible transformation. Because as I said, you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your standards. And if you want to look abnormal, you're going to have abnormal standards. You don't have normal standards and then look abnormal. You have normal standards and you look normal. Hence why you're probably watching this video, because your standards yourself are normal. Very blunt. That's just what I'm like. And it's like, yeah, you might hate me, you might love me. I'll just tell you how it is. You will be misunderstood. I've been misunderstood my whole life, if that makes you feel better. My whole life. Why are you eating eggs in the morning? Why do you eat ground beef? Way too extreme. When I meal prepped ground beef, I had co-workers saying, I do not understand you. Like, I didn't have to like interpret that I was being misunderstood. I just knew that I was being misunderstood. Because this girl literally told me. And this guy literally told me. But were they in the position that I wanted to be in? No disrespect to the girl, fair enough. But the guy, that dude, no offense, was not remotely what I wanted to look like. And he was like slating my ground beef, right? I don't want to look like you, buddy. I want to be ripped. I want to look awesome. I want to be a role model for my siblings. I want to be the best partner ever because I'm in shape. I want to be confident. I want to know that I feel fucking awesome in myself. So, yeah, if that means eating ground beef and looking great, that's what it was, right? You're gonna be misunderstood. People think you're obsessive. That's the whole point. Okay? They're always gonna ask you for tips. Okay, that's just, I'll get into that now, but yeah. I promise you, like the people will sort of like, they might test it. I like to call it tests, where they say, oh, you wanna go out, or you wanna have this one drink, buddy, or you wanna order in, and it's like, no. Remember, you're not the guy who's like living no life. The whole point of looking good is so you can enjoy life, but there will be times when you say no. They always end up asking you for advice. I would say 90% of people who've slated me have ended up praising me or asking me for advice, always. Because I know it's hard when you're not looking the way you want, but I promise you, when you do, it always flips. Always flips. Mindset around food, okay? So most overeating isn't actually hunger, right? It's scarcity mindset. You're treating it like it's going to run out. When you literally are thinking about dinner before you've had lunch, that's a scarcity mindset. You need to focus on one meal at a time, then focus on the tasks at hand after that meal, and then dinner will come around later. That's how it goes. That's why when you're working long hours, in your job, or you're an entrepreneur and you're working in between meals, then it's like you're not thinking about food because you've got all these needle moving tasks you need to do, but then on the weekend it falls off because you're free, okay? That's why your diet falls off on the Friday nights and the Saturdays and the Sundays, because you have spare time. You have to fill that with tasks, even if it's a walk, even if it's with a hobby. Okay, you need to move on, and that's how it is. Like, food isn't scarce. Remember, we're not in the wild anymore. Your dinner's there. Your dinner's there ready for you at like 8 p.m. You don't need to start thinking about it all day. Simple as that, okay? And also, you don't have to finish every food in sight. Like, a lot of people, if you're moving house or you're traveling and you have like excess food, it's off plan, it's over your calories, but there's a bit of excess food. You feel like you have to finish it. No, you don't. You don't. You can throw it away. You're allowed to, okay? Like the children in Africa, like, it's like peak, but like, if you want to give it to a charity, cool. But like, you can't send it by plane to them. So you're going to have to chuck the food in the bin. Like, you're not going to eat it. You have goals, you have standards for yourself. That's how it works. And you can put food back in the fridge. Like, you're allowed to put food back in the fridge if you haven't filled it. You don't need to just force everything down, especially if you're trying to cut weight. Okay, and most important is identity, okay? This is what makes everything automatic. Like, identity is the most important thing in actually getting in shape. People think it's like diet, training, mindset. Like, obviously guidance and accountability is super important, but who you identify as, that's what's going to carry you through every single day in your journey. You need to identify as the version of ripped, live your life with the habits as that person, and then that's who you end up with. The guy who is ripped, he doesn't negotiate about cheating. He doesn't, oh, I might have won by, no negotiation. When you walk past the food triggers or junk food triggers or binge eating triggers, you are unfazed because you identify as the guy who is unfazed, who is ripped, and he is unfazed. I'm not saying you'll be perfect. You want to control your environment. But when you walk past those junk food places, when you walk past those chocolate bars, my mindset is that's not even real food. Like, it's not, like, I don't even associate that stuff as food. That stuff is like social occasion, like slop. That's literally what it is. Like, all of those like junk foods outside of the meal structure I'm going to show you is not real food. Like, I don't even associate it as real food, because that is the exact mindset you need to have, and you need to genuinely think that with conviction. Okay? Like, it's not even like real. It doesn't even help you get to where you want to be. The version of you is where you want to be doesn't eat it, so you don't even give it a second look. Okay? And I will repeat, no snacking ever. Snacking is for pets, kids, and females. So if you do not identify as one of those three, please do not snack. Like, that's how it is. If you're a dude who wants to get jacked, like, snacks are not there for you, and that's just the reality of the situation. Like, hate to see the bearer of bad news, but yeah, let's get into the actual eating now. Let's get into the good stuff. So yeah, we have the dieting as a lifestyle diagram here. And I'm making this as simple as possible. Like, I promise you, as simple as possible. Like, I'm basically trying to make this so you can just watch this and you don't think. Like, if you're an alien and you're from like Mars, you can watch this video and you can like understand about diet and identity, and like you can really make some progress now from watching this. Like, here's the thing. So we have the fatty meats, which are essential. So ground beef and eggs are like essential. You can replace ground beef with steak. But every single day, I would recommend to have some fatty proteins and some lean proteins. Like, for myself and my clients, it really depends on their goals, how like their daily activity levels are, how like, you know, serious they are, how much sacrifice they're willing to make, like their calorie goals, their lifestyle, you know, their calendar, their timings. All of these different parts depend on like the ratios of the fattier to leaner proteins. But as a base recommendation, you got the ground beef, you got the eggs. They're like the staples. For me, it's like I eat ground beef, eggs. If you want to eat salmon, like salmon, you can kind of move into the leaner one if you sort of take the fat off at the bottom, right? And then lamb's just good, but lamb's like quite long to cook. So yeah, eggs, ground beef are good. If you're a steak guy, eggs and steak, bang, you're good to go, right? Like every single day. And then the lean meats, it's basically chicken breast, tuna. Chicken thighs are pretty good, like boneless, skinless, but breast is just less calories. If you prefer thighs, go ahead. Like, if you prefer thighs, go ahead. If you prefer salmon, go ahead. Cool, right? But for me, it's chicken breast and tuna. It can be tinned or tuna steak. Super low calories. Like, maybe you do 2 chicken breasts and then a tuna steak, something like that, or 1 chicken breast tuna, or just some chicken breast. I'll get into like an example day of eating towards the end, but I want to go over like the proteins. We got the carbs. How simple is this? Like, I'm making this like bang, so straightforward, right? And it's like rice is pre-workout, so rice before your workout, and then post-workout or on a rest day, you have potatoes or sweet potatoes. Yes, you can have potatoes or sweet potatoes before your workout. I think rice is a little bit better because it's a little bit more fast releasing. It depends how deep you are into the cut. If you're super deep, maybe you go for the more satiating stuff because potatoes are more filling and it'll keep you more full for longer. That's what I found. Works a lot better for me. And yeah, like these are the goats. No pasta, no sourdough. Like, I'm kind of putting in the needle moving foods. If you want to eat sourdough, some of my guys make it work. But like, if you want to like put in the real stuff, these are the best carbs in my opinion. So I'm just like cutting out all the noise and I'm just getting straight to the point. We have fruit. I split it into 3 sections. Super low calorie, high volume. Low calorie, high volume. Nutrient maxing. So these, what I do is I do one of these super low calories, high volume, and then one of the low calorie, high volume when you're cutting. When you like maintenance, you can have some kiwis in there as well. But when you're trying to cut down, I'll put like watermelon and frozen blueberries. Boom. So you have like watermelon and then frozen blueberries. You can have them together or with a meal. They're your fruits. No Greek yogurt. That's just a waste of calories. Like, I'd rather have, the animal proteins, the real carbs. And then if you want the sweet stuff, just have the sweet stuff as fruit. Boom. Watermelon, blueberries, or cantaloupe, and then some frozen berries. Boom. When you're maintaining, you can add some kiwi in there, or you can replace one of these with a kiwi. And to finish off the quadfecta of all the best foods to eat, we have the volume for vegetables. Like volume, this is like no calories. And then we have the fiber and taste, right? I usually add vegetables to dinner. To lunch, I also add some veggies as well. The volume ones, I mean, cucumbers are fruit. I know, zucchinis are fruit, I know, but I'm classifying them as vegetables for the sake of the video. These are this is what you'll put with a ground beef or dinner to make the volume way higher, because with volume eating, right? People say like, oh, do this volume eating thing. But if your volume eating doesn't have protein, then you're not going to build muscle. If it doesn't have carbs, then you're not going to have energy for your workouts and your muscles aren't going to be performing as well as they could, because we want to gain muscle whilst losing weight, remember? We don't want to get skinny like a peasant. We want to actually shred the fat and build muscle. So it's like, you have the protein, you have the carbs, you have the fruit on the side with one meal, just for pre-workout, for nutrients. But then, to make the meals way higher volume, for like the exact same calories, you can put some iceberg lettuce in there. You can put some cucumber in there. Or you put zucchini, okay? That could be for lunch. And then for dinner, if you want to put some like broccoli, or you choose one of the veggies, like broccoli or onion, and then you can have some more zucchini with dinner to up the volume. Oh my God, that's the structure you're winning. It's like the animal proteins, it's the fatty, and then the lean ones, you got the veggies, you got the carbs, you got all that. And now we put that into like a model. This is like a model. This is like what I'll kind of eat in a typical day, right? No, eating like this is not going to get you a six-pack. It depends on your goals, your activity level, your schedule, how much weight you're trying to lose, how aggressive you are. All these different factors is what I will take into account for my clients. If you're interested, you can fill out the application below and I'll see if you're a good fit for the program. You can also message me on Instagram about my program. I will respond to you manually and I'll send you a voice note. So yeah, if you've got any questions about that, message me on Instagram or apply below. I'll see if you're a good fit. Here is the structure I usually follow, right? It's simple. I've made this so simple for you to understand. It's eggs and coffee for breakfast, the best breakfast. I have 10. 10 might be too much for you. 10 might even be too little for you. But it's probably, it might be too much. I do a lot of activities and stuff. Then for lunch, ground beef. We have rice, cucumber, tomatoes. Add some seasoning. Oh my God, that's an amazing lunch. Maybe it's a rest day and you replace rice with sweet potatoes or potatoes. Perfectly fine. Then here's the lunch dessert, which is what I'll like lunch, then I'll wait like an hour, and then, the dessert, which in this case is, obviously Discord, in this case is frozen blueberries and watermelon. As I said before, that's the go. Like, you're getting the antioxidants, you're getting the volume from the watermelon, and it's like, it's killing the sweet tooth, just the sugar stuff. And yeah, dinner, I don't like having sweet things for dinner, right? I know there's sweet potato, but actual sweet fruits, because in the evenings you're more responsive to cravings. So I like having super high volume dinner and then savory, but really nice. Chicken breasts seasoned up with sweet potato fries or diced sweet potato or sweet potato in the oven tastes amazing. You just need to portion it correctly. because you can still get fat off eating this exact diet. It is literally clean, but you can still get fat because you can still be in a calorie surplus. I'll be the first guy to tell you. As I've said, I'm super honest, super straight to the point. Like, whole foods enough isn't enough, right? You need the structure, you need the calorie deficit, you need all these different aspects in relation to your schedule. But yes, this is an awesome place to start. Chicken breast, sweet potato, lettuce, broccoli. Oh my God, you're winning. Like, when this is portioned right, you're absolutely winning. And this is like how it will typically look for me, like a day of eating. It's whole foods, it's keeping you full, cravings at bay, you're building muscle whilst losing weight. This is why I've been lean for the past few years. I hope this helped. That's genuinely my intention. And I really hope that it's a priority for you to look awesome. If you've watched this far, I really hope it's a priority. If you have a cool book to me, I doubly hope it's a priority, because I would not want to like waste all my time, making this whole structure for you just for it not to be a priority for you. Okay? But apart from that, implement, go kill it, let's go.